Live. A very warm welcome, everyone. Welcome to our session on entrepreneurship, small business, sales, and marketing. This course has brought to you by Hackveda Limited, and the mentor of the course is Mr. Vishal Thakur, sales director from TCS, Infosys, and Cognizant. Vishal has tremendous experience in the field of sales and marketing. Vishal has also completed his education from IIM Calcutta, and the industrial mentor, which we have brought to you for this 20-day long course on entrepreneurship, small business, practical implementations of sales and marketing processes for each and every business, for small business, medium scale business, and large business. We have brought this content to you. Now, all your accounts have been created. The information of your one-to-one accounts and Trello accounts will be shortly shared with you on your email IDs, where you will be able to access the material of sales and marketing class in sequence on your Trello cards. Now, I'm going to guide you quickly with respect to what are we going to cover in this complete 20-day cycle, followed by what is going to be the topics of the day, which we are going to cover today. So guys, when it comes to entrepreneurship and business, there are a lot of processes which needs to be understood practically for candidates of bachelor's in administration, for candidates of master's in administration, for people, those who are running small business, entrepreneurial business. Our audience is a mixed audience where we have candidates who are running their companies, those who have working experience of starting a company from 1 to 5 years. There are candidates, those who are in their final year of education, in their second year, third year of their education in BBA, MBA. So it's going to be a mixed content where you're going to learn that how you can get started with a small business, enterprise business, and how can you execute marketing and sales processes effectively. The mentor of the course, once again, I'm telling you, is Mr. Vishal Thakur, ex-sales director from TCS, Infosys, and Cognizant, having experience of 26 years. So what are we going to cover in this 26 days? In this 26 days, we are going to walk you through with the following concepts. Initially, we are going to take you through these following objective domains where you will learn entrepreneurial and small business concepts. In these concepts, you're going to understand the foundational concepts of entrepreneurship and small business ownership. With this section, you will be able to understand how you can start a new business, how you can effectively set the foundations of a new business, because in future, as you already know, entrepreneurship is going to be the topmost hit with respect to the kind of workforce being developed in India and across the globe. Coming to the next stage of this program, you're going to understand and identify knowledge and skills of a successful entrepreneur. So you will understand the characteristics of entrepreneurial mindset. You're going to understand the risk, benefits, opportunities, and drawbacks of being an entrepreneur. You will get to understand with tools that how we can recognize potential business opportunities through social networks, through B2B marketing strategies, from B2B sales strategies, from B2C marketing and sales strategies. You're going to understand the characteristics of business opportunities. You're going to determine the viability of a business opportunity. Coming to the next class, we are going to identify the elements of a business plan, how you can identify the purpose, how you can create value of a business plan, how you can create a pitch deck, and how you can quickly create a lean canvas so that you can present, you can make appropriate business plan and proceed further. Coming to the next section of the first broad category, we are also going to understand the intellectual property concept, so you can understand how trademarks are set, how trade secrets are set, how copyright patent is done, so that you can protect the kind of intellectual property you are creating with your business. Be it an IT related business, be it other than IT or non-IT business, you're going to understand these concepts as soon as we progress further in the course. Followed by, you're going to identify the value, risk, and guidelines associated with using the licensed materials. So how you can exploit licensing stuff, how you can exploit open source in order to build your business from scratch. Coming to the second category of this 20-day long training, we are going to be much focused on marketing sales, and with easy to use tools, with visual tools, without programming, you will be able to execute marketing and sales strategies for any kind of business you want to run. In this, what are we going to start? We are going to start with how to interpret the market research, how you're going to define the target market. Coming to the target market, it is not going to be limited to a local area. So we are going to discuss the sales strategies, marketing tips, that how you can sell your product across the globe, how you can work out in different geographies, how you can take your product to different geography, how you can propose the value, how you can price it with respect to geographical conditions, and how you can make your product as a best market fit in that targeted geography. Coming to the next point, we are going to discuss between primary and secondary data. How will you be evaluating competition? How will you do competitor analysis? How you can quickly identify the new sales strategies and marketing strategies of your competitors. And then you're going to perform a SWOT analysis. What exactly a SWOT analysis is? SWOT analysis is your opportunities, threats, which you are going to identify when it comes to the kind of business you are doing. In the second section of marketing and sales, you're going to analyze aspects of marketing processes. You're going to identify what kind of marketing platforms you can make use of, how you can apply marketing methods, how you can analyze market reactions and the sales data. Then you're going to understand, analyze customer acquisition cost, what is the retention cost, and how you can increase your average cart value so that you can end up profit without losing money on the kind of product and services you're selling. So we will be creating a lot of funnels in this. When it comes to the funnels, we will tell you that how you can start with a small budget funnel, which can end up with a high average cart value or average order value, with which you can maximize profits. So all those strategies with the visual implementation and automatic tools we are going to tell you in this course. This course is a 20-day long course. Today is the first class. We will be running this course on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. live. Coming to the next part of this, we are going to identify elements of a marketing plan, and then we are going to identify the sales channel strategies. In this, you will identify elements of the sales processes. You're going to identify the key characteristics of digital and physical sales channel. You're going to define various types of sales channels, how you can implement a customized sales channel for the kind of product you are making or for the kind of product you are selling. Coming to the next point, you're going to identify the role of customer service and support in sales strategies. So this is what we are going to build. So initially, we will tell you how to set up the business, how to market and sell your product. And in the third part, we are going to take you to production and distribution section, along with the scalability of the product, so that you can take up funds, you can make a minimum viable product, identify the elements of the minimum viable product. You should be able to define the product market fit hypothesis. You should be able to define the performance and quality criteria, followed by how you can quickly continue to identification of the supply chain and the production processes. Coming to the next point, you're going to identify the knowledge and materials needed to create a product. You will identify production options for digital and physical products and services. You're going to identify control testing processes for digital and physical products and services, including adherence to government regulations and the safety requirements and the kind of compliances required for the kind of supply chain and the production you are doing. Followed by, in the last section of third category, we are going to identify distribution channel We are going to identify types and factors in the section of distribution channels. You're going to identify differences between direct distribution and fulfillment services. And then coming to the final category, which is the business financial. A lot of people lack in this category of entrepreneurship and small business, where people don't understand the business financials and end up losing a lot of money in their businesses. Now, this happens. What exactly happens? Let's say if you have made a product, you know how to market the product digitally, but until and unless you are clear with an appropriate business financial plan, you won't be able to make up profits out of your product. So in this, you're going to analyze the business financials. We are going to train you on how you are going to practically set up a business financial plan for your business. You're going to determine the selling price of a product. This is where a lot of people lack. They don't know what is the actual perfect fit price for their product and for what kind of market they should pitch their product. This is a huge problem when it comes to entrepreneurship in India. So we are going to understand what and how we are going to determine the selling price of a product or a service. You're going to interpret basic financial statements such as income sheets, balance sheets, how you can understand those sheets, which is nowhere taught in the regular curriculum. So in this, you will be able to understand, if you are able to understand the appropriate balance sheets and income sheets, you will be able to understand what improvements you need to do in your business so as to keep it profitable. Coming to the next point, we will be working on the fixed and variable cost. You're going to create the company's cash flow. So cash flow kind of concepts are very, very important when it comes to pitching the product, going to an investor, and once you got the money, then how you're going to execute the process of your business so as to keep the cash flow running. So you're going to understand that. Coming to the next point, you will understand return of investment of the product and services. So that is what you're going to learn in this course. And finally, you will be able to understand the funding options so that you can get into seed funding, Series A funding, Series B funding. I believe all of you have heard about funding. Since 2015, it has become very, very popular that all the companies and startups are currently going towards the investors. Investors are putting in a lot of money, and the valuation of those companies then increases to $1 million and business $1 billion. So how that funding options work? How do you determine what should be your operating budget? What should be the starting up cost? How will you identify various funding options and the investors, who to target, how to perform that research, that which investor could be the right fit for your kind of business? And coming to the requirements of obtaining the funding, that why do you need the fund? So this is what we are going to cover in this entrepreneurial and small business course. So this is not limited only to marketing and sales. You're going to understand right from the scratch that how the business is created, how a product is created, how you can price the product, how you can sell the product, how you can define the target markets. Then after understanding all of that stuff, how you can make the proper business plan so that you can make up a profitable business out of it, and pitching the product to the investors. So this is what you're going to learn practically in the course. Now, what is the benefit of taking this course with Hackveda Limited is the course is taught by one of the top sales director of Indian region and international region. I'm going to introduce our mentor who will be taking up this 20 days program with you, Mr. Vishal Thakur. So Vishal, a very, very warm welcome on board for day one session with our business participants, those who are going to learn this entrepreneurial and small business, and they are going to stay with us for a 20-day long journey of implementing everything practically. So guys, coming to a very brief description, because there's a lot to say for Vishal, but I'm going to, walk you through some of his achievements in the industry. So just allow me a couple of minutes so that I can quickly introduce the mentor, and then we'll get on to day one sessions. So in today's session on small business day one and meet the instructor of the session, Mr. Vishal Thakur. Mr. Vishal Thakur is an entrepreneur and a sales leader. And getting this course from a sales leader is one of the best bet you can ever put in. Now, coming to his personal summary, Vishal has 20 plus years of IT leadership and sales experience across the globe. This is one of the big things. So, as you might have read Rich Dad and Poor Dad, the author says that you should learn skills from the person, those who has made his hands dirty being into that business. So Vishal, coming from IT sales leadership with a 20 plus years of experience, you're going to learn the best out of this particular program under the guidance of Vishal. Coming to the next part, Vishal has lead $100+ million portfolio in Fortune 100 organizations. Coming to the next point, Vishal has grown client and organizations from single digit growth to triple digit growth when it comes to $1 million. He negotiated over $100 million in contracts, providing 20% savings to single clients. And after living almost 2 decades in the US, he got into India. He has been a senior corporate executive. He has experience in entrepreneurship. He is a business owner with a track record of developing and leading organizations to profitable growth. He's a steadfast expert business leader, straightforward communicator with impeccable ethics. So a very warm welcome, Vishal. I need you to take over from here, speak with the candidates, and let's start this journey of 20 days entrepreneurial and small business. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Devanshu. And it sounds too old looking at all these things. So very welcome, everyone. We have a huge number of participants, and during this course, probably we will be knowing each other way better. I would like all of you guys to ask your questions and all. So as you see, right, I'm more practical guy. I've done everything hands-on. So I'm not the standard trainer you might have met. So I might tell you 5 different things which are more practically embedded in certain things, and certain topics is I will tell you from my experience perspective, how does it look like and what happened really in those situations. So feel free to ask, feel free to raise your hands and have a discussion, because these all things which Devanshu has walked you through is basically way beyond than the limited PPT or a discussion, right? It requires more hands-on, and there are perspectives. So basically, just ask them. Feel free to raise your queries, right? Having said that, should we directly go into the topics? Let me just share the screen.
Yeah, Vishal, we can get into the day one topic and we can start.
Yeah. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, Vishal, we can see the screen.
Okay, so these are the certain initiatives which I've been running, and when we were discussing about this course, and Hackveda is very much into how do we make it more practical, how do we make it like real-time thing and all, right? So it sounds very interesting, because when somebody who is doing it and then somebody is so passionate about making everything practical, it's really something good going to come out. That's what I can say. So let's start with first thing first, right? I think the basic principle of entrepreneurship or a business or becoming a sales guy means I won't see, and big part of the entrepreneurship is sales, right? And I just see both of them to be more doers rather than somebody who is listening or just seeing or observing, right? They just move forward, right? And that's where I wanted to start this. Don't watch the clock, do whatever it does, keep going, just move forward. I like this quote very much, and I think each one of us has to embed this when we are even going through these kind of courses, or rather anything, right? Make it more practical, make it more learning through hands-on, right? So let's start with entrepreneur, right? And entrepreneurship. These are the basic definitions, right? And who is entrepreneur, right? How does its personal traits look like? What do they go through? What are their experiences, and what are their certain things where how you will identify that you are an entrepreneur and you're not kind of suffering with 9 to 5 job. You want to take something bigger, you want to achieve something more meaningful to you, right? So a vision driven person, right, who is assuming a significant personal benefit to start and expand business, right? I will put certain traits into it. As you see, the second topic of our day two is basically more getting into entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. So this today's session, the first session is more or less touching certain things at certain level, and then I will park it so that we can go in a deeper in the next session, right? But when I see entrepreneur, right, I find it has certain traits with it, right? Like optimism, right? You have to be thoroughly optimistic in looking at everything what you do, right? Those are the basic things when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? Being an entrepreneur, your orientation to excellence is the key, right? Anything and everything what you do have to be excellent as per your standard. And every time you do something, you improve your standards, right, to next level, right? You should be competing with yourself. Anything and everything you did last time, any email even goes out from you, have to be excellent, right? So you have to drive yourself to the next level. So optimism, orientation to excellence, and then the big part of entrepreneur is basically organization, right? If you have so many things which you would be handling in this journey of entrepreneurship, right? If you are not organized, then you would be facing a certain level of challenges when you are getting into this journey. So the organization skill is a very key. And when it comes to the organization skill, it's not alone knowing the business or knowing the customer or having certain excellence in certain areas. I think organization goes beyond all those things, right? Starting from your the way you personally organize yourself, to how you organize your whole entire ecosystem. Because believe me, when you get into you become entrepreneur, there are a lot of things, not from the business perspective, your personal side, the way you manage your time, the way you manage your social time versus your personal time versus your business time. All of that comes into a picture, and your organization skills is very much contributing to it. So organization, right? And then anyone who become entrepreneur should not leave one part out of it, is which is profit orientation, right? It has to be thoroughly in your mind every time you get into these kind of things, right? No profit orientation, no business, right? Until unless you are a social entrepreneur, and then you are getting into those things to make a social impact. But that itself will be also be important to have all these four things: optimism, orientation to excellence, organization skills, and profit orientation. So having said that, I will move to entrepreneurship. These are the definitions I have written, which is more standard or definitions, right? But I have certain definitions which I have understood in my way, which is more simpler, and kind of try to give those things to you as well. It's like entrepreneurship is a pursuit for opportunity, right? Beyond resource control. So you just get into so I will define all of those things, right, for you. Pursuit is something very singular and very focused, right? And opportunity is something which is you have created and you see certain opportunity because of the new business model or your innovation. And then basically you don't have a resource control onto it, and that is how the entrepreneurship is, right? So being an entrepreneur and being into an entrepreneurial journey, you are basically going to pursue an opportunity, and you won't be having a control on so many things, and then still you kind of pursue it. That is how the entrepreneur and entrepreneurship goes, right? So this having and then you see any entrepreneur who has started their journey, right? It's basically more vision and then basically optimism, and that's how they start on that unknown path. And then unknown path, you need to kind of explore it on the way, and your execution skills, your certain way of pursuing things will come into picture, right? During this journey. Now, with that, there are certain risks also kind of embedded into this whole thing, right? Like demand risk, right? If you get into this COVID-19 situation has taught us that there would be a certain kind of type of risk which suddenly comes into picture, and a lot of small scale business who are having a shops and a physical stores, and their business is based on the physical stores and the things, right? They get impacted. Those were like those kind of unseen risk is also basically lying on your path. So there are certain level of risk which you need to understand, and you need to know how to kind of mitigate them or put a path to it, and that's how basically your entrepreneurship journey goes from there, right? So going beyond that, this is a basic comparison which is between entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, just to make it more clear to you, right? Entrepreneur is an individual, therefore having innovative idea and taking every step to turn idea into reality while bearing a risk. And I was telling you about risk, right? You have demand risk, technology risk, execution risk, financial risk, and self-belief risk, right? That's I think the first thing comes into picture when you start this journey. Self-belief is very much important when you are becoming an entrepreneur and getting into this entrepreneurship journey, right? Then entrepreneurship is basically it's a risky activity. As I said, it is basically pursuing the opportunity beyond your resource control. So usually starting a company, offering certain product and services to the direct customer, to the customer, and which may or may not get success, right? So that's how you differentiate between two. Then what is it? It's so entrepreneur is basically a person which an idea, and idea is basically shaped by an entrepreneur. And when you are shaping that idea, you come with a lot of things to kind of execute it, and the way you kind of set up your processes and things to operate, those processes which shape that idea, that is basically entrepreneurship, right? And then entrepreneur, innovator is represented as an entrepreneur, and then procedure to which innovation is done, that is basically entrepreneurship. Then the business venture, right? One who set up the business venture and turning into a concept into reality is an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurship is an activity which an entrepreneur undertake to set up the business venture. So these are certain way of differentiating between entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, and these are some basic definitions to it. I'll take a small pause, and I want to see if anyone has a question or um, query on this. If not, let me go down. And this is a small joke out here. It's like if we learn from our mistakes, shouldn't I try as many mistakes as possible? Right? Means that's not what it is about. Mistakes. Mistake is more being put into this whole entrepreneur and entrepreneurship journey, saying that don't worry about the failures. Failures are more learning, rather than taking it in any other way. But that's how it is. Now, when we are saying that we will put some product and services and get into a business, start some idea, so there are some basic things which we need to understand, right? What type of business are you doing, right? When you are offering certain things based on your skills and with your knowledge, mostly it is service, right? We You might have heard, right? There is a lot of service sectors, right? This BPO and IT, that is all basically comes into the services, where we are providing a certain skills and certain way of doing it as in service, right? And then you have retail, which is our traditional way of business in India, right? Which is opening up a store and then basically putting certain products. People walk down there, do their shopping. That is basically retail. A small business, you can have a bulk business in that. So if you go in US, I spent a lot of time in US. So if you see Walmart is kind of there on every outskirt of a city or inside the city, then there is also something called Costco, right? Retail is also kind of bulk retail. Costco is basically offering products which are like you can buy it in a bulk and you get a better discount. And the whole concept of them is take things in a larger quantity. And that's how they put their offers and discounts and all of that, right? Then another type of business is franchising. Franchising is basically you develop your business at certain level in a certain geography at a certain place, and then you open it out and take it to the next, maybe a next city or next geography, and where you say that entrepreneurs who has an initial set of amount but they don't have experience, we can give them all the processes, all the branding, all the marketing stuff, and get them ready to start on an entrepreneurial journey. And that would be we would be charging certain fees to them or certain share of the revenue which they would be generating. This franchisee model is basically beneficial for both, for and the company which is offering a franchise, because you get to make a good revenue through that franchising model, because you would be charging certain fees, as I said, right? Certain fees or certain share of the profit. And it's good for the new entrepreneur, or somebody is trying to get into a new business and don't have experience of that business and the processes and knowing the market and understanding it. Then they can get that franchisee model, get onto this entrepreneurial journey and get onto the business while using the experience of the core company who is providing a franchising, by having all the processes set it up by them, all the branding done by them, marketing and all those material. And yes, they need to pay certain amount of it. So it is good to kind of start onto that when you don't want to innovate by yourself, and then you want to start certain thing new with kickstart from day one, then this is a good model. Manufacturing is something you build it from scratch, and then basically going to the distributor and then basically taking it forward. So basically building it from scratch, and that is what a manufacturing is. In India, that is where the core is. We had a lot of manufacturing which is there, but service sector is the one which is get developed so fast in India in last 20, 30 years. Manufacturing is still pick it up, but you see the government is kind of pushing out for make in India, made in India. So all those things are basically part of manufacturing, where you put together certain things and then basically go out and sell it. Distribution, these days you see a lot of companies are, this is the one area which get developed by technology so fast, right? If you see Zomato and a lot of other companies, right, which are only pure play doing a distribution, right? They just take a material and then deliver it, and that's how this distribution business goes, where you have certain manufacturers and then certain consumers, and then you become an intermediary to them. You have a network of distributing it to the remote places, and you charge on certain for product certain margin of yours, and then basically make it distributed. Manufacturing companies basically look out for a distributors who can kind of take that forward. They just want to remain focused on what they are good at, which is manufacturing, and then the distributors are good at making that product available to the remote places, or reach out to the people. That's what the distribution is. And multi-level marketing or network marketing, that is another model. You might have heard about, I think, Amway. That's a big brand in India. Do anybody has ever come across an Amway agent? I think all of us, one part or other, might have come across them. Do anybody has experience to it? Right. So Amway is another multi-level marketing you might have come across.
Hello.
And there, yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir. Amway is a company which work for as a MLM.
Yeah, multi-level marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. I take a quick experience in this company, in Vestige, for example.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, sir. It's basically a great opportunity for everyone who
Uh-huh.
want to take an experience in a in what should I talk about?
So how do they work? They come out and give a product directly to you, and why do they don't go through a distribution or basically retailing and all? Um, they basically they come out and goes to the multi-level marketing, where they come and give you the product, right, and ask you to go and make another member, and basically doing a direct selling. So the benefit they get is they don't need to go through a distributor or a retailer, and that's where they save certain money out of it, where they don't need to kind of spend amount there, and they pass that benefit directly to the customer, and that is where basically it is both win-win, right? So you got a good product in a good price, because they have not gone through all the distribution and the retail channel, and that is basically that's where the multi-level marketing comes into picture. They go directly to the customer and then ask customers to kind of make more customers, and that's how you will get a benefit out of it. So this is not only on the product. Multi-level marketing work on a different area also. This is a whole altogether separate stream of a business, that is networking and a multi-level marketing. So these are a certain type of businesses. Services, if you want, I can touch a little bit more. Services is basically, that's where our IT India has become a leader in that. The IT services which we are providing, which is based on more knowledge base, and that's where our school college education come handy when it comes to India, right? And we provide the services based on our knowledge, and this is more easiest way for people to start business, because manufacturing and franchising is anyways the next level of it, right? Retail, manufacturing, distribution require a good amount of capital, right, to be put in initially. So service is basically the comparatively easier when it comes to the knowledge industry, and that's how it goes. Am I going too fast, or you guys wanted to kind of touch on certain topics? Just please let me know, because I just want to make sure that all of you are getting it.
Right. Guys, if the speed is fine, are you all able to understand? Shahrukh?
Yes, sir, we can understand.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
So
Great.
once again, I'll just walk through with Aditya, Karuna, Kush, Mehak, Shahrukh, Naman, Sakshi, Vishesh. I believe you all are able to understand the concepts we are discussing. And
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Great. And you all can be very, very interactive with Vishal sir. You can ask your questions, whatever is coming in your thought. So our today's session is going to be a little theoretical because we are building the base content for you, the base concept for you before we get into the practical stuff. Okay. So feel free to imagine everything, feel free to draw everything on paper. And if you are getting any questions in any of the term which you see on the slide, feel free to ask openly. Apart from that, we will also be taking up a lot of questions which generally people are asking with respect to the kind of challenges and the struggle they face in sales. Apart from that, you all are also requested to bring your questions.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can continue. Thank you.
So moving from here to our next, right? What are the legal structures, right? And it's in India. I've tried to do a research. I have less experience in India, but I try to do a research and then try to find out in a very simple way, right? So that you understand when we are saying we wanted to set up something, how to start, what all it requires. I'm not a legal expert, but these are the basic thing when you are setting up your company or try to think about an idea and wanted to start certain things. These are the certain things which you should keep it in your mind, right? When it comes to the legal structure, you can see there is a flow. You can take it from the top, right, which is sole proprietor. When you are an individual and with a PAN card, and you just can start a company becoming a sole proprietor where you are the owner. You just get it started. It is not having too much documentation attached to it, and it is basically just simply getting your idea get started with certain things which is applicable to you. The problem with this model is when you go in a sole proprietor, this is where if you get into any litigation and any problem for your business and somebody sue you, then your personal asset is basically attached with your entity, right? So that's where the issue with the sole proprietor is. Another one is a partnership where it's more or less same like a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor is basically single owner, and that's how you start your company. In a partnership, you have a one more partner and you notarize your partnership deed. Again, you need a PAN card if you applicable for GST, then register it. But having the same problem, it don't differentiate between the personal asset and entity. If you get into any situation, your personal and your personal assets are also liable for the loss, right, or the litigation, right? Then it comes limited liability partnership company. You need to register with MCA, Ministry of Commercial Affairs, and then you need to have this one. You need to have a basically registered it there, but this is more a capital subscription, not a equity base. So basically, if you are building an idea, and if you have an idea which you are seeing that down the line, I would be taking it to the funding, and I would be taking it to the little larger scale, then this structure might not be applicable to you. This is good for people who are giving a professional services like CAs, doctors, architects, right? Those goes and build a LLP, and that's where it suits most, because they just run their company on the professional services. They don't look out for generally for a funding and all. So this is good for them, right? Then come OPC, one person company. This is same as private limited, but this is personal asset is basically different than your entity. So you understand the concept, right? Personal asset differentiate from entity. So if you have a company name XYZ and you as an individual, right? And if you started working on your company as a sole proprietor or in a partnership deal or a one on that phase, and you started a company, you are, let's say, working on certain things which is require of machinery, or lifting a machinery or delivering a machinery, and then somebody get hurt and they sue you, right? They put a case on you that I was working in this company and this is where I get hurt, so I should get a compensation, and then compensation is also very huge, right? So that's when if you lose the case, then they are liable to recover that money from your personal asset as well. That's where basically when I'm saying personal asset and entity, that's how the difference is. Then comes private limited company. This is more than one person, and then if you want to go for a funding down the line and you want to make it a startup, a kind of a serious business, then this is what you should go for. And then basically a public company, when you become big, then you see that now we should be kind of going for public, register our company, losing out a certain stake, and then raise a fund. Then basically you go and build up your structure for a public company. The good situation is you start with partnership or OPC for a first 6 months and on, and then basically jump onto the public limited company. That's what basically I would suggest. To test the water, you can start with the initial structure, but then when you tested the water, you tested your MVP, you tested your idea, and then you tested your business model, then jump onto PLC quickly, and then get onto the serious note onto it. I'll take a pause here. Any query on this one?
Guys, anyone, any questions? Shahrukh, Naman, Karuna, Aditya?
Sir.
No, sir.
Great.
So these are all what you are learning, and I was surprised to know when Devanshu was telling me that these guys have learning all this thing. It is very good to understand at this stage. I can tell you, in a traditional way, when we were doing a college and all, we never get this opportunity to understand all this concept on so early stage. And believe me, it will help you out a lot when you get onto your professional careers and then started, working for a company or started your own idea and all, this would differentiate you from the other candidates, right? More you know about different aspects of different things, that will help you out. At least I can tell you in a sales. That's where the sales guys differentiate from others. They know hell lot for a lot of things. They might not be knowing in a detail, but they know certain basic required element, and that will differentiate you definitely in a long run, right? When you get onto the company, when you get started, at every stage you work with the people within the company, and your knowledge on a different areas will definitely put you in a little different bracket than others. So it's good to know all of this. And what I would suggest is, right, when we will be doing ending our first session today, make sure you go through, you dig it up, more material on internet, and find out certain things, and then we can have that discussion in the next session, to go more in detail on those. From here, let's move out to the roles and responsibilities within the business. Now, this is a very critical to understand, and I think this is the more things to understand when you get into entrepreneurship, or you are heading towards sale, and then you can see it as a part of your executive journeys, right? Mostly CEOs of a companies, right? They traditionally mostly come from either sales or basically from financial side, right? And CFOs and all, right? I think today there was a news. There is a HR, a lady become Indian lady become a CEO, and which is she is from HR background and become a CEO, and which is a very non-traditional in the industry, right? And the whole path of, if you say that, path of a CEO goes from sales or finance is a very specific thing where you know how to manage your money and all that, right? And financial planning and all that thing. But when it comes to sales, the core idea is, do you understand all the pieces of a business? Do you really, when you are becoming a CEO, do you understand each and every piece of it, right? And how it works, how you will make it a more reusable and more expandable, more profit oriented, right? Because if you can make all of them profit oriented, then eventually you will be having your business also becoming the profitable, right? When you're setting up something, then these areas, and let's start with any journey, right? Let's take an example of any one product or anything you want to do. Let's say I want to launch a website where I would be having courses for let's say for languages, right? And then I would be teaching, let's say, English language, right? And I want to open up this company. Now you would be having there are a couple of pieces to it where you need to have a core of the product, which is in this example it would be a curriculum or something which your teachers would be teaching. Then the teachers, right, who would be kind of teaching it. Then the students, right, who would be consuming it. And then within that, you would be making sure what all is, how much each class is going to be. And if each class is going to be this much, let's say 100 rupees per hour or 1,000 rupees per hour is one class, right? Then is there a students within this area who would be kind of can consume it, right? Then how would you be doing pricing for it, right? And I'm more on the financial side of it, right? Financial function side of it, right? And then how would you see that, if I am building it now and I am putting my effort and I'm taking certain experts and I'm paying them, to build the curriculum, or I myself is building it, my effort is also going into it, right? So how would I be recouping it, right? And when I would be meeting to the net level, right, where from there I would start making a profit, right? All those things would be coming into the financial side of it, right? Then it comes to the distribution, right? Now in a distribution you would be saying, okay, if I'm going to run the classes, am I going to do a physical classes or having a physical center, and then if that is the case, then where will I be setting it up, right? Where I can see where the student are going to be. Is there a college area nearby where I can have this thing set it up, and it's what is going to be the rent, right? Or should I not put a physical entity and then have it kind of renting out for certain hours, or should I be doing it completely online, right? Those are my making sure that the distributions channels you have think through, right? And how would I be engaging a community? How would I make sure that people can take it forward, right? Then customer services part, right? Who would be answering the queries, right? Who would be doing the counseling for a students, or who would be helping out parents to understand the value of it, right? And how they would be seeing it. If it is online, do I need to do a app, or it's going to be a website? And how the usability is going to be, how they can raise their issues if they are facing any challenge in, let's say registering or paying, and then what all things I would be doing. That is more customer orientation part of it, right? Then it comes to, okay, if I would be getting the registration, I would be, which month I would be going, that who would be reconciling it, who would be making sure that everybody has done the payment, what all the resources I would be using, how I would be making sure I'm paying for those services. That is all basically your administration to put your house in order, you can say, right? Then it goes to research and development, right? As I said, right, your core of that business is going to be curriculum and the quality of the instructors, right? And so you would be seeing, what kind of a curriculum, if am I going to be more stick to the national curriculums, which are more ICSE, or it is more going to address the IB curriculum, international vernacular type, or it is to be kind of my own curriculum, which will be kind of a supplemented education. So those kind of a thing will be going in a research, right? And then which area means starting from your core to researching about your customers or your distribution channel, and all that is basically going to come under the research and development side, right? Then when you would be putting it together, then you would be realizing, how is there are going to be some workbook, textbooks, or certain things which I need to make sure that parents and students have with them. Then how I'm going to, let's say the books, right? How I'm going to print them, how if there is a workbook, if there is a unit test, how I will be producing them and then doing it there. Then comes the sales function, and then saying, okay, if I'm a physical place where I'm opening this institute, the physical challenge, the physical centers, right, have a certain level of reach, right? And I put it in a very rough way, right? 10 kilometers from any radius, right? Those are the people are going to be in your physical institution if you put yourself into the physical space, right? Then how would you be reaching out to the people, letting them know that this is what it is? And then who would be closing those deals? Who would be kind of making sure they understand the value? How would you making sure that you got enough number to sustain? So then your comes sales, and then how would you do? Would you be putting a flyers? Would you be hiring certain people who will be doing the demos in the schools or institutions, and then or the teachers who will be putting, let's say, digital marketing these days. It's a cool word. Would you be putting Facebook ads? Would you be having a regular post going? Would you be having blogs? Would you be having a certain community engage online to kind of get through it? That is all basically would be coming in a sales and marketing function. Now, when you are putting all this thing together, your infrastructure is a key thing, right? To make sure, okay, if I'm putting a brand to it, means a name to it, and then I'm putting a website where I would be launching it, what all kind of servers I would be needing, if I would be putting it on cloud. These days, everything is on cloud. Then you would be making sure that those infrastructure things are in place, right? What kind of, if it is on a mobile app, you would be making sure that your app store is having all of that and it's getting delivered. Then your internal team collaboration, you would be needing certain tools to kind of collaborate, communicate between collaboration and communication within the team, or how you would be making sure that everybody is working on the certain tasks which are more aligned to your objectives, right? So then you would be needing something to where you can manage your projects and tasks, right? And then you would be knowing also how would students would be coming out, how their teachers would be communicating to them, right? How they would be submitting homeworks, and how teachers would be grading. So you would be needing a whole lot of IT infrastructure for that, right? Then who would be taking care of the people you are hiring, right? And how would you make sure that they are all comfortable, they are getting what they need, and their where they are sitting or their physical locations are comfortable. All of that would be coming out in HR. So these are the certain areas, roles, and there are these have different roles within these areas, and then those roles will be having a different set of responsibilities within that. And this is how different pieces of broad level functions, right, within the business you would have. And these functions further have so many intricacies and so many things within them, right? And then each and every area will get 5 different responsibilities when you expand, and then you start putting more administrative layer also on each one of them, and within very specific things to kind of manage by them, right? I'll take a pause again. Anybody has any question here or anything you want to ask? Okay, let's go. So these are the compensation structures, right? This is basically the broadband and the grade range, and market base is more for bigger companies and all, right? When you initially start a company or initially startups, right? They come out, they need to retain, if they want to get a better resource, better people, and the talent to come and work for for them, right? They come out with these stock options, and you might have heard it in a market, right? When you and right now also, if you open any LinkedIn jobs, and if you see any initial the startups and all, they put out a compensation saying that, hey, we can offer you a certain stocks and certain equity. If you go public, you will get this many shares, right? That's how they get they try to get the talent, right? Because the big companies, right, and the companies who are at a certain level, they offer a good salary packages or overall packages, right, which are way much more attractive. So how the small business or the startups kind of manage to crack certain people out of it is through stocks and the equity which they offer, right? Now, vesting schedule is, I'm just touching the first equity and stock vesting, because we will start with the startups and then we'll go to the bigger company side, how they put a structure, right? Vesting schedule is something which is, if you got as stocks, and stocks are also employee stocks or the owner's stock, right? Vesting schedule is something when you can basically eligible to kind of utilize or take those shares, right? That is basically a vesting schedule. So let's say companies offer you, hey, you want to join my company, I can give you a 10% stocks of a company, but the vesting would be let's say in a 2 years, right? 50% is stocks. One, you will get out of your the 10%, the 50% you will get it after you complete a first year, and then 50% you will get it after you complete a second year. So basically, they will ensure that yes, they are giving you a stock of a company, but then you also spend 2 years at least, because you know that if you go out before first year, then you won't get any stock, and if you go out after first year, you will get only 50% of it. So that's how basically they put a different kind of a vesting schedules into it. Now, on the broadband is basically just a cumulative of grade and range. It is basically a small number of large salaries with a pay ranges, right? Broadband is basically to reduce the salary ranges within a certain level, but introduce a broader pay range within the job level or a family, right? It is basically putting 2 or 3, 4 grade and ranges into a one bucket and saying, you know what, if somebody is coming at the CFO level, right, and then within this range, we would be having this kind of a salary structure to it, right? If somebody will be coming as a team lead level, right, then we would be having, and this team lead level can have in a multiple areas. It means different thing when you come to the HR, when you come to the ICT function and all of those, right? There would be a different job families or different roles and responsibilities, but they would attach, let's say, certain things to a one broadband, saying that you can be in any different functions within a different company, but when it comes to this level, your salary range has to be this within this broadband, right? In this way, big companies, they will ensure that they know that, it is easier for them to kind of making sure that they are first taking care of an employee in terms of a compensation, right? And doing the right compensation to the right level. Second, it gives them a easy to kind of manage and doing a reporting and doing a financial view of a company, right? Then comes to grade. I think that's what you might heard, when you go and have interviews with a company, they will say, hey, we will map you to this grade, and this grade is having this kind of salary attached to it and these kind of benefits attached to it. So for them, it is basically making sure that they will, based on your year of experience, based on your knowledge level, based on your responsibilities, they will map you to the certain grade, and that certain grade will be attached to a certain set of salary, be it basic, on the variable and all that, right? And that's how basically they have a different compensation structure, right? And you will be hearing it a lot when you would be working in a corporate, right? Then the certain mid size or companies who are up to a certain level, right? They will come out and do a more market research, right? And see, okay, if I'm hiring, let's say 8-year experience architect, right, in IT, in an example of IT companies, right? Then generally they are getting, let's say, 20 to 25 lakhs or 15 to 20 lakhs per annum, right? Okay, so I will be, if I'm putting a job for 8-year or architect, I will be kind of more paying that. They just try to make sure that they are at par with the market. So it's not like one of these compensation structure will be used by them. It's kind of a mix and match, and to be used to make sure that they are one, taking care of employees in terms of overall compensation, they are competitive enough, they are also kind of doing justice to more roles and the employee both. Then it comes to the benefits, right? Which is, hey, you are not only getting this as a salary, you get medical also be included by us, right? We will give you insurance, we will give you accommodation for a certain time, and then we might give you some equity, right? Those are the certain benefits. And I still remember, right, when we were going through a campus, there was a company who were one of the benefit was that you will get a dating allowance, and it was at that time, it was very kind of become very new to the campus and I'm talking about 20 years back, that, oh my god, they are also paying for dating, means that's good, and then those are the, means it's all HR, they come out with so many different varieties and different benefits. And some things are really come handy to certain people, right? While making a decision, right? For like accommodation, right? Those are the very key important thing companies offer for certain time, and maybe that time that has become like very important for you, that if I'm going in a certain city, if I get accommodation, I think that is good. And even if they are not very high as per a market, but they are okay, so let's take that, right? More important to all this thing is the value of each position, right? That's the key part of more or less in a companies, right? And I would say that in it's not a government structure, right? In a private companies and all, they try to value each one individually, right? When they are doing a compensation and they are deciding a salary and all. So if you try to prove your worth more, probably you're gonna get way much more than your peers, right? And there is no hard and fast. Yes, there are certain rules and regulation and grades and range and all of that, right? But they would take an exception route if they see a more value in a person. So all your knowledge and hard work and the information you collect at this stage, you're gonna reap a benefit out of it at every point of time when you go in a company. And the company is also kind of take care, they just want to see that when you meet somebody and when you interview and then you realize that its experience might not be that much, but it's having a good knowledge, or it is having a good potential to grow, and that's where they try to kind of put a more value to that position, and they offer a little more in terms of benefit or other things. If they cannot break, they give joining bonuses and all of that to make sure that people join. I'll take a pause here. I see some chat windows, and there are
a few questions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, what are the typical compensation package for salary plus equity for a sales executives? Okay. So sales goes in a different, and I can tell you because I was working in a different company, and they pay, they have, all of them have a different way of making sure the sales guys are motivated enough, right? And as you know, right, they call, right, companies are run by the sales guys, right? If they bring the revenue in a company, and that's how everybody can feed. It's like if you're in a family, if a male it's a only earning member, he go and earn, and then everybody get feeded, right? Yes, everybody has an equal contribution. You cannot undermine anybody's contribution, but at the same time, they need to go and break it, right? So sales compensation goes most of the time is standard at the layman level. It goes, I will give you a certain base salary, and then on top of it, certain sales you made, and you get a commission out of it. Now that certain level of sales will also be defined by if I am managing. So I'm telling you example of a large size company, right? We manage a large portfolios, right? Let's say we have account which is where we are making, let's say, $100 million from last year revenue from this particular customer, right? Now if you are an account manager or a client partner, there are different KPIs attached to it, right? And I'm talking about this role more from, it's in an industry, it's called more farming, okay, where you have a customer, you have a revenue which is coming, right? Now your goal is multiple folds, right? One, for sure, you need to grow the revenue. Now growing the revenue is also marked by certain targets. Let's say this year's target is, you need to take that 100 million to 120 million. If you reach 120 million, right, you will get this much bonus or this much variable to it, right? Now if you go beyond that, then there would be a kickers, it's called kickers, and all those things, right? Now those are not the simple plain KPIs you will get. You will also need to make sure that your customer CSAT is coming good, right? Your customer satisfaction is coming out good, which is more like a third party independent survey which is done to the customer. And then also you need to make sure that it's not like you are selling just to meet your target. You sell a $20 million deal, right? And that $20 million deal is basically not having a 5% margin or 20% margin, and company is saying, you guys need to keep a certain margin at certain level. So you need to make sure that your margin and a profit is also able to reach. So your bottom line also you need to reach, right? So your customer survey, your top line, your bottom line. And then these days, if you are leading a group, you need to make sure that your group, right, where you belong to, or the area where you have a big team, right, they are also kind of happy, right? So there is survey within and they basically survey about how they are feeling in your unit, and they see you as a leadership and all that. So basically those things will also follow. So it's not a straightforward compensation. So that is more on the farming side, right? And in a sales, right? And these are the two terms used in a majorly in a sale: farming and hunting. Now, hunting side is basically getting, let's say, a new logo, a new client, or basically within hunting also, within the client is also that how would you get a new revenue, right? Which is it's not like what you are selling. Let's say, for example, you are developing an application for a customer, so your revenue is coming primarily from that, right? So when they say that, you as a hunter or a new sales guy, you need to make sure that we also sell, let's say, AI based product, right? So now the your compensation is, if you are only responsible for that, your compensation might be, you have a base, and every sale you make, and you get a certain percentage of a margin, as in per quarter basis. So those are also type of compensation in a sales, right? So sales is having too many different type of compensations per product, per overall target, and new geography, new logo, and those have different compensation attached to it. But on a broad scale, if you say, yes, sales always goes with a base plus compensation plus other values attached to it. What is this poll is all about? Fat salary in a small company, a small salary in a big company. It's a 50-50, man. Okay. What are the other questions? I hope I answer whoever is. It's a deep. If you go with different type of sales structures and a different type, and that is also depend on the industry as well, right? But broad level it goes like that. What are the some examples of the best employee compensation plans? So I think your question is, if somebody achieves good, and is there some other benefits attached to it and all? Is that the question? Can whoever asked that question, can you just explain me that question so that I can answer it, right?
Yeah, Vishal. So the question was relevant to what are the basic employee compensation? Is it better to get into a salary, or salary plus equity would be a better option to get started? Anything like that?
Okay. So if it is a startup or a company which is not big, right? And because knowing the balance sheet and how much they are making, what are their potential. So a lot of things is, when you evaluate a company, or when you want to join any company, you need to see a lot of things. And it is also your, when you meet people, the people who are running the company, I would, if you ask me, I would see them right equally to what area they are basically into, right? If you are into certain area which is anyways is not having a potential to it, right? Means, and I don't know how many people have seen that Steve Jobs movie, right? He went down to the sales guy of a cola company, right? And he said, how long you would be selling this, right? And this is not going to take you anywhere. Let me take you to where it would impact whole humanity, right? And that's how he pulled that and make him a CEO, right? Within his company, right? So it also depends on which product you are in. So company working in which area and what is potential to it, the people and the owners who are running into it, and then you see the growth which they are having. If it's a startup, then definitely get some salary. Obviously, you need to run your expenses and run your house, right? And then having equity. it's fine, but remember, equity is the same betting, right? Means when they go public, then you kind of reap a benefit of it, and sometimes it is short, sometimes it is long, right? Now, if and I hope you are talking about joining part, right? If you are a mid-sized company and then I would suggest, if you are getting your role of interest, the work which you wanted to do. So because everybody has a different interest, right? Some people are more into, hey, I would be doing a coding, and that is true. I want to do a coding in Java only, right? And some of the people would be, hey, you know what, coding is not my cup of tea, right? I would definitely want to get into a IT company because they pay handsome, right? But at the same time, I would be taking other profiles like business analyst within the company, or the project management. I think those are my area. I'm more people guy. I can handle the things, right? And if you're getting those offers, and then that would be your choice based on the role, right? And otherwise, if it's a good brand and they pay you handsome, then that's an obvious choice. So a small company, a small salary in a big company, that's where people are going more. Okay. It's an individual choice. uh, but more you get into industry, more experience you have, your preferences will change on it. Okay, is there any more question on that? Let me just quickly check. Oh, voice is breaking.
No, sir. Now you are audible.
Oh, so were you able to listen earlier part, or is there anything you want me to repeat? I can repeat that. Okay, what is a fair starting salary for entry level sales and a marketing specialist? And Devanshu, you know India market better. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know how they compensate here for entry level.
Vishal, you can continue further.
Okay, okay. Um, okay. Now, this is where the life cycle stages of a business, right? When you start, then you get into an initial developing your idea, checking it with your friends and trying to make sure, hey, how does it sound? And try to see, your situation and viability, and then see how to get it started. But that is where basically the initial development stage, or if you are more putting together idea and go for a seed funding, that's where you kind of put together your idea or maybe a small running model, and then reach out to the investors and then try to see if you can get a seed funding. And in that process, you detail out your idea, you put together a business plan, and they call it, it's very important to put together a good business plan when you are looking for an investor, right? Consider the market. That is where basically your seed and initial development stage are. And I think Bill Gates said it in its quote, right? 80% of work happen in a initial first 5 years, what you are going to become, right? This is where the initial seed development and startup stage, that's where most of the work happen. I'm not saying that after that the challenges would be different, but the core work happen majorly here, right? How you want to set up a tone and a base for your company, where what is a culture you want to set it up, what is that you would be kind of taking it up, how that is different than others, right? That is how basically this is going to be, right? So in this post that you would, once you have your seed funding and initial model working, then you reach to the next stage where you start seeing, the need based on the growth, the need of a different area, right? You might realize, hey man, I need to put a marketing, the customer query responses guys all together separate. That team should be separate, who would be answering the queries, guiding them, letting them know. Then I would be having my operations team separately, who would not be disturbed by what all new programs we are coming up, what all new features we are coming up, or whatever new markets we are coming up. Versus I would be making sure that they are pure play, making sure that our backend operations are running fine. That's where you start putting your business structures. Then you got your new ideas, you start implementing all the thoughts, initial thoughts. I would be selling it in a 5 different channels. I would be having a mode of, people will also get attached to it, and they should also start making money out of this, right? So you start implementing those, right? And then making sure that your revenue is coming up, right? And this sustainable cash flow is a key to any startup or any company or anything you are running, right? You need to first make sure that you set that up right, before you go and start getting into the scale mode, right? That's where you kind of put your structure right. From there it goes to growth stage, where you and this saying turn your focus inward, right? Where you, because now you are scaling up, right? When now you are reaching out to the more customers, more geographies, more scale is coming in, so you need to make sure that your internal things are more getting into place, processes and things are getting into a place, right? You need to, during any stage, right? Your customer relationship is a key, right? You cannot keep an eye away from the customers, and that's where you need to be um, more building your relationship. Because and as they say, right, these days whole sales thing is based on a relationship. You don't build your customers, you build your clients, right? Customer, they consider it as in short term, and then clients are basically, it's going to go long run. um, and then you look out for, since you are scaling, so probably you might be needing more investments. And investments not only kind of give you the fuel to your whole company, right? It's not in terms of money, but you also get an expert advice, you got an expert network, right? The investors these days are also basically expert in that particular area, right? Or they have a certain reach, and they can put you on a certain platform where you yourself going in, self-boot mode will be taking a time, right? So that's where you started reaching out, right? Then you have maturity stage, right? Or exit strategy, right? Um, when I was doing my executive MBA, and then there the first thing they tell us, you build a startup, you put together a exit strategy at the same time, that when you would be kind of walking out, right, and getting a value of it, right? So that's basically your maturity stage. And then you have renewal decline, either you get merged, or consider seeing the more reinvestments, or becoming a part of any big company, right? So these are basically your different cycles and a stage, right? And any question on this one? Okay. So element of design thinking process. Okay, so why design thinking is coming out in this stage, or how is it related to this whole idea of entrepreneurship, business, and sales, and all, right? And it's when and there is a basic difference which I kind of try to find out, right? When you say it's a business thinking, right? Business thinking is more derived from more aggregated view of a stakeholders, right? It's a more consolidating view, right? When it comes to design thinking, it's more obsessive on the individual users, and then how they would be kind of taking it, right? How to this is more an intimate process of insights, right? Of making sure, okay, this is how this has to be put in, right? When you are developing anything, right? Be it any product or any services, right? The whole idea of how it is getting consumed, or how the users would be taking it, right? And users can be your customers, internal customers, different stakeholders, right? All of them can come into that bracket, right? Then primarily on the customer side, right? How they would be empathizing with it, right? How you would be making sure that they can um, best best out of best usability, easy to use, they see that they can attach themselves with it, right? Certain, so if you see a certain so like the airlines, when you get into airlines, you get a certain smell, right? Into the plane or the airlines, right? They even doing a patenting for it, right? They want their brand to be associated with certain fragrance or certain way, right? So everybody want their brand to be get associated with the users, and then everybody want to see in certain things in a certain way. So that's how basically um, that empathizing will be going, right? Then you define, right, what how it would look like, how they would be using it, how many clicks it is happening, where generally when users see it, right, where it would go. It would go on the right hand side, mostly your login and everything would be on the right hand side upper corner, or if this is the section when they would be looking, would they be seeing a price, would they be seeing a more information into it, and then you basically ideate, and then on a different method, right? So this all these topics, right, like design thinking, it's a full-fledged course or full-fledged learning in itself, because each of these high-level stage have different tools, technology, and processes attached to it, right? And then you go for prototyping, and then you basically test of it, right? And you might have heard about UB testing, and then there are lot of testing happen these days with the live users, right? They wanted to see how users are behaving on a website. So you might see certain buttons coming out. They wanted to see how everybody is reacting on it. And based on that feedback, they basically kind of try to put that in a right way. So that is basically that's why it is here, right? Because when you are envisioning a whole business, that how that would be working out, you need to make sure that you also very customer centric, and when you are seeing about individual users, kind of how they are going through that journey, how they are feeling it, how they are observing it, how what is their usability, and also that is basically very key for anything to be kind of get consumed by your customer. That's why this design thinking process is very key element to the whole entire entrepreneurship. Okay, so this is and we will not be doing it right away. But what I want to do is during the course of this session, right, we would be making sure that we are practically doing everything right when it comes to having a business, and how from business idea to creating a business plan, to how would you make sure that you are, when you are thinking about something, are you thinking in all the angles, right? So I want to do this exercise during our next 20 sessions, right? Where once we finish the session, you start working on it. We can look at it, we can review it, and we can discuss about these things, right, during the different sessions, and we can go more in a detail onto it, right? But let me just tell you on these things, right? Like business ideas, right? Value proposition. Value is the key thing, right? Which you kind of generate out of your business idea. You can very well come out with the idea saying that, you know what, I would be taking um, low cost something building in a two-tier cities, and then I would be selling it here on a margin, right? And anything you do, you need to see the value proposition to it as to what is the value you are bringing out to the client. And that's, if you get that right, then you are on a right path, right? That is how you have to kind of think, and we will talk about it more in details and all, right? I just wanted to give you a basic structure of different points you need to think through when you are envisioning any idea, right? Then the customer segments, right? What are are my customers are 65 plus age, or it's less than 65 one? What are the different areas, right? Is that a working email who are living in a cities? Is that so? Basically, that's how you segment different customers when you are putting together any product or services for anything, right? What are the different channels? Are you going online? Are you going on web, on a mobile? Are you having something which is more physically delivered? So what are the different channels, how you would be doing it, right? Then the customer relationships, right? How you would be building it, how would be you be making sure that they see you as an, yes, and they are taking care of us, and this is how you would be building the customer relationship. This is how you would be building a customer credibility as well, right? What are your different channels and different revenue streams you would be generating? You might be developing something which is like, I would be having certain thing delivered here, but the byproduct can also be delivered to somebody else, and I can get a different revenue out of it. It might be less, but it is. So those different revenue streams, right? What are the different key resources you would be having? And would I be needing a certain machinery, certain things, certain people with a certain skills? What are the different resources, right? Who all can be a different partners to it, right? If I'm developing some things for NRIs, can I see something, if banks would be more interested and they can become a partner with me if I am having certain things which is more delivering outside India, maybe somebody in a tours and travel, and somebody in a loan, somebody in a real estate might be interested because they might get some investment there, so they might become a partner in that, right? What are the key activities which I need to for sure do, right? What are the different type of structures, right? Cost structures I would be having. Would I be having a subscription based model? And subscription these days, everything is a SaaS base, right? And then subscription based going on, right? Would I be going in that? Would I be putting a standard contract for a year to kind of tie back everyone into it? Or would it be like, on the go, you come join, you go anytime? That's how it is going to be. So what are the different type of things, right? Then, what are your business visions, and why vision? It's basically until unless you have a vision that this is what you wanted to achieve, right? So like for our Ask a Class platform, which we built it for NRIs, right? It's basically the vision was to build a platform for NRIs for having any Indian language, culture, and heritage type learning. It should be a one-stop platform, right? You need to have some kind of a vision which will kind of help you out in every day, right? But because when you get started, right, you get into a flow that much. When you go back and keep looking your vision, then you know, okay, this is how I wanted to get this run, this is how where I wanted to be, this is how I wanted to take everything there, right? That will help you out and help everybody else out who is associated with it, right? All the stakeholders, if they see the vision, they all get aligned, right? So your this is kind of another way of messaging what you wanted to kind of achieve, right? Who are your customers, right? You need to really do a good level of brainstorming in terms of who are my customers, how does my customer look like, right? What kind of a profiling is that? Because more close you go to them and then you start knowing it, more better you can offer your things in the right way, right? What business you are in, do you sell product or services, you know, what are our plans for growth, and these are the certain things which you would be, this is more or less business plan, you can say, or you would say that this will help you out in exploring different angles, and that will help you out in, you know, making your things way much more mature, right? I'll see. Okay, so this is how we're gonna run now. Apart from whatever topics Devanshu has shared initially, right? That we will be covering that. Now I have certain topics which I feel that those are also important when you are learning all these things, right? Um, I wanna make sure that you guys are. If you guys tell me that these are the good topics, then probably I will also cover these topics in a further sessions and all. Yeah, or if any specific topic you are more interested, then please let me know. I'll take a pause and I just want to hear it from you guys. How does it go, and you know what all you are expecting. Is there anything you want me to change in this? Any other topic? Any other area you want me to focus on?
Guys, either you can unmute your mic or else you can text on chat window also.
Where is the feedback? I was seeing the feedback was um, very balanced. It's looked like a scorecard. It's like everything is having a proper number to it. Oh yeah, so it's look like 33, 33, 33. Okay, Devanshu, you wanna close the thing and wanna call out certain things?
Yeah, Vishal, thank you. So guys, I believe you got to learn a lot of things in day one of sales and marketing course. So this is the 20-day course which we are running on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I have already shared the information with you regarding the ESB curriculum, which you have gone through. We already had a discussion on it. So today's session was a little theoretical session because, you know, we need to put up a little base on how things works and what are the individual terms when it comes to sales and marketing. Now, coming to further sessions, we are going to make it completely practical. I have got a lot of feedbacks on my personal messages also. People also want to get into practical implementations of how the processes are being done. So we are going to bring it to you definitely in the next session onwards. We are going to make it practical as it has been discussed with all the participants initially. So guys, thank you so much for being available, and thank you so much, Vishal, for pulling out the session in a very nice way. We have covered mostly all the topics of the ESB curriculum section 1, and I want to share my screen in order to tell you what all we have learned today. So coming to the point, as far as the course curriculum is concerned for entrepreneurial and small business, as far the objective domains are concerned, we have started with section 1 of entrepreneurial and small business concepts, in which we have started with identification of foundational concepts of entrepreneurship and small business ownership. In this, we have covered the following section, where we covered defining the entrepreneurship and small business, classification types of the businesses. You have understood how various legal structures of businesses work. You have also understood the roles and responsibilities within a business. You have defined business compensation structure also. You know how to define business life cycle stages. And finally, you have identified the elements of design thinking processes. Now, in the next session, we are going to implement it practically, where we are going to identify knowledge and skills of a successful entrepreneur, where you are going to identify the risk, benefits, opportunities, and drawbacks of an entrepreneur. And we are going to show you how practically we search for potential business opportunities. So we are going to cover B2C business opportunity identification and B2B intent-based business opportunity identification. We are going to use practical tools in order to identify what kind of business opportunities are available, in what region business opportunities are available, and what kind of organizations are looking for the product or service which you are selling or offering. So this is what we are going to cover in the next session. The next session is going to be on Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone, for being available, and keep sharing your feedbacks. Also, I have requested you all to share the text feedback also on the chat. So feel free, if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions or anything, you can post your questions on the chat section, as well as we have got your digital feedbacks also. So thank you so much for being available. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.